The pick is in.
With the 144th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado, presented by LinkedIn. Here to break it down with me, it is Spencer German, the host of Locked On Browns. And Spencer, we talked about Dillon Gabriel getting drafted by Cleveland after a bunch of controversy about where Shedeur Sanders was going to go. Cleveland double dips at quarterback, trading up for Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. As this news comes across and you start to hear, hey, Shadeur's coming to Cleveland, what are the emotions you're going through? I mean, it must be a shock over there.
Certainly stunning from a number of angles. I think from the fan perspective, it's like, why are we taking 2 quarterbacks thing? For us in the media room, we were actually in the middle of a press conference with 3 of the 4 guys the Browns took yesterday. Quinshon Judkins, Harold Fannin Jr., and Carson Schwessinger were all in the media room sort of talking to us. So our attention all kind of gets taken away as we sort of start reporting on this news. And so I kind of feel bad for those guys. But obviously this is a major story because the headline that has dominated the draft on more of a national scale has been Shedeur slipping as far as he did. Andrew Berry talked to us a little bit after those guys left the room and basically said, like, it got to a point where, he was mispriced for the round that we were in. And so I just think they felt like it was time for somebody to pull the trigger. It's kind of funny how it came full circle. The Browns were linked to Shedeur so early in this process, even as early as number 2 overall. That didn't happen. They wait 4 more rounds and they eventually get him in the 5th, and they traded up to get him as well, using the rest of their picks on day 3. So they're theoretically done for the rest of the day. But man, like, what a wild sequence of events as Shedeur ultimately does land in Cleveland, where he was kind of rumored to be going in the first place.
What is your scouting report on Shedeur Sanders here? Why do you think that Cleveland felt they were the best spot for him? And what do you think he can bring to this offense and his outlook in Cleveland?
Yeah, so despite everything that's transpiring from the situation in terms of why he slipped and the debates on that and certainly some weaknesses in his game, I've been saying for a while now that I actually think Shedeur is like the perfect fit for Kevin Stefanski's offense. With the things he does well, super accurate, can operate an offense pretty effectively. I think he has the ability to read a defense at this point in his development. I feel good about all those things. And Stefanski's offense can be pretty quarterback friendly. It's very much like pro style, drop back, read a defense, play action, and make some throws downfield. And Shedeur has touted that his greatest trait is his decision making. And this organization throughout the draft process has said that's the number one thing they're prioritizing in the quarterback. So I thought, again, it made sense even earlier on than this. So to get him at this point does sort of feel like a steal. I guess the perplexing thing, obviously, is like, why take 2? But he'll have a chance to compete with the rest of the guys in this group. It's not a star-studded group by any means. It's Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and now Shedeur. And, I think the race is kind of on here to get to September and see who comes out on top.
Now, Cleveland's quarterback room, Spencer, it's looking like a general store receipt with how many guys are in that room. You obviously have Shedeur Sanders alongside Dillon Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco. Deshaun Watson also still on the roster. Now, with 5 quarterbacks, how do you see this all shaking out? And does Shedeur being drafted to Cleveland change who you think starts week 1?
So I kind of, you mentioned Deshaun, and you're right, he's on the roster. I kind of keep him in the out of sight, out of mind right now category, because there's not even a guarantee he's going to play this season. So he will be here. I don't know that we'll see him at all. I don't know that he'll even get a chance to play. But as far as the other 4 guys go, it's going to be an open competition. My assumption is that somebody like Joe Flacco probably wins that job, because I don't think they're going to want to let a rookie start immediately for either of these guys. But I've been saying, I think we're going to see, probably coming into this draft process, I figured like whatever rookie they take will probably play in some capacity this upcoming season, just so we can get a sense of, hey, what's the evaluation on this guy? Where is he at in his developmental process before they get ready for next draft, where it looks like they want to find that true franchise quarterback next year, given what they did in this draft. So I still think it ends with what I said. Joe Flacco probably wins the job in the beginning of things, but I could honestly see Kenny Pickett playing at some point, or in either of the rookies playing at some point. I think what's more interesting is they're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks next year. So they'll do this through the offseason, but what does that mean for one of these guys come the end of training camp? Who's going to get the short straw? Who's going to get traded or I guess, released and tried to, sort of transfer over to the practice squad. That's the fascinating thing that I think is kind of the next phase of this conversation, because having 4 quarterbacks right now makes a lot of sense. Having 4 come the end of August is just never going to happen. So that'll be the game, the sort of matching game they have to play to sort of figure out who belongs and who doesn't on the official 53-man roster when it's all said and done.
For continuing coverage of the Cleveland Browns, subscribe to Locked On Browns wherever you get your podcasts. And for more on Shedeur Sanders, let's hear from Locked On Buffs, who spent a lot of time covering Shedeur Sanders up close.
Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders is by far the most polarizing prospect in this entire 2025 NFL draft class. I'm Kevin Borba, host of Locked On Buffs, an NFL team who's drafting Shedeur Sanders. You're getting someone who's tough. You're getting someone who's a great leader, and you're getting someone with insane swagger and confidence, likely he inherited from his father and coach, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, of course. You're also getting someone who is one of just 2 NCAA Division I quarterbacks to throw for a career 14,000 yards and complete 70% of his passes. He was only in Boulder, Colorado for 2 seasons, yet he left with 100 school records and a retired jersey. So you're getting a very accomplished quarterback, and I think he has a bright future ahead of him. For more Colorado Buffaloes coverage, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Buffs wherever you get your podcast.